This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
I just am thrilled that the county is acknowledging that there could be a problem, because before we couldn't even get that.
Long overdue. Manatee County commissioners are working with the school district to test soil and groundwater at a school that was demolished nearly 20 years ago. The building may be gone, but the alumni are still here, and many of them want answers to why so many of their classmates have contracted cancer and autoimmune diseases. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on soil and groundwater testing at Bayshore High coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight with the vexing problem of affordable housing in Sarasota and how a well-known developer and tech entrepreneur is taking a stab at doing something about it. Jesse Biter, the man behind The Hub, is calling his new project Bold Lofts. Instead of building yet another luxury high-rise, Biter is tearing down The Hub and replacing it with a workforce housing project that will have 97 units and be 5 stories, higher density that still meets zoning codes.
For me, the development came about because this town doesn't have attainable housing for young professionals. The better return for me is to not do this, to build a 10-story building, but I'm only doing a 5-story building so the units would be smaller and more affordable.
Bold Lofts is expected to open early next year. Sarasota's police chief is making a plea to the public for help after officers responded to 10 overdoses in the past week. 4 were fatal. Police say some victims required several doses of Narcan, the drug used to reverse the symptoms of an overdose. Chief Bernadette DePino says if you know anyone who is dealing heroin, please come forward.
Don't trust your drug dealers, because they're not selling you heroin. They're selling you something that's cut with fentanyl or carfentanil, which are deadly chemicals that get into your body.
Police say call 911 if you believe someone is overdosing. Symptoms include slow breathing, confusion, dilated pupils, and dizziness. There is a move in the state legislature to limit the power of cities and towns to have to govern themselves. Now, Sarasota is taking the lead to fight back. The City Commission is considering a resolution supporting legislation to give smaller cities the ability to ban plastic bags. Under Florida law, communities can't impose rules to regulate or ban them.
The more that we can leave to local control, the safer it is and the more cost-effective it is for local residents, and the more community can be tailored to the desires and expectations of those who live there.
The resolution wouldn't ban plastic bags in Sarasota, but would support bills in the State House and Senate allowing local communities to do so. Sarasota has finally reached an agreement with the online lodging company Airbnb. The company will now collect bed taxes. Based on 2016 data, Airbnb would have brought in more than $350,000 in bed taxes last year, had it been collecting them, which it didn't. The company has over 700 hosts in the area, which will begin collecting taxes beginning May 1st. After more than a year of construction, Ringling College of Art and Design's new professional sound stages are open. School officials and investors held a ribbon cutting this evening. The 2 8,000-square-foot sound stages cost $18 million. One will be for academic purposes, the other will be for commercial use. Several shoots have already been scheduled in the coming weeks. A couple accused of murdering a 47-year-old Palmetto woman is back in Manatee County to stand trial. 26-year-old Roy Nichols Jr. and 21-year-old Kayla Coiler have been extradited from West Virginia. They were arrested there last month in connection to the death of Patricia Freeman, Coiler's mother. Police say Nichols confessed to killing Freeman during an argument. He is charged with second-degree murder. Coiler is charged with being an accessory after the fact. A follow-up on a collapsing drainage system in Bradenton. Last week, we told you about underground pipes blamed for massive holes in the Cortez shopping plaza. Now, the Burgundy One Condo Association just across the street claims the same system is causing flooding issues for them. The condos were inundated during Hurricane Hermine. Residents say flooding is inevitable, but the faulty drainage system is making it worse.
All of the crushed area of dirt and cement and everything had fallen down into those pipes before the storm hit.
There's nowhere for the water to go. You know, it has to go through that pipe underneath the roadway to get across Cortez.
The county says Plaza Management Company, Franklin Street, is responsible for fixing the pipes. And Bob, we are at the beginning of rainy season in a few weeks, so it's important that these things get fixed soon.
Yeah, and soon enough. We need that rainfall a little bit sooner because we're in a drought situation right now. We're going to get a little rainfall, looks like a Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and then much cooler air is on the way. But before we get there, get a look at these high temperatures today. 88 degrees at the Sarasota-Brady Airport. That tied a record high set back in the 50s and in the 20s. And in Tampa, they got the 91 today, 94 in Fort Myers. Those two are both records for this date. No rain around. We have 80 degrees and the dew point is at 68. That's high. Winds are out of the south. It's been a windy day today. 20 miles an hour is sustained right now. We have gusts as high as 25 to 30, and the pressure is falling ever so slightly. Look at the temperatures cooling in Tallahassee. 64 there, but still 88 in Orlando and 80 in Sarasota. Inland temperatures still into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees in Arcadia. And then Bradenton at 81, Lakewood Ranch 1 degree warmer, Northport you're at 83, Venice 79. So right on the water in the upper 70s. The radar imagery showing some big storms now over Tallahassee and the Panhandle of Florida. That's where the severe weather potential is and will continue to be so through the night. It's going to stay to our north, too. This is the front that is going to fade away before it reaches us. Right now, Panama City seeing some heavy rainfall all the way to Tallahassee. Tough driving along I-75 northbound from a lot of our folks who are leaving now. Look for very warm temperatures, 11 o'clock, 74 degrees. We'll have clear skies. That's summer-like readings for us here along the Sun Coast. And as far as our rain chances go, they're going to stay low, Alan. We're not going to see much of a chance for rain, so good weather for all outdoor activities for the next couple of nights.
But not for wildfires, which we are very concerned about.
Right, absolutely.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, for decades, hundreds of Bayshore High alumni have been developing different forms of cancer. But what is happening to these former students connected to their alma mater? We'll show you why the issue is becoming increasingly dire when we return.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. How to fight type 1 diabetes, plus Southeastern guide dogs on college campuses, and my delicious blog in the kitchen.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
Florida Studio Theater presents Piano Men, held over by popular demand through April 2nd. Attributing the virtuosity and elegance of the Piano Man, Piano Men features the works of 20th century's best pianists and songwriters. Featuring songs from music icons such as Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, and Barry Manilow, don't miss what critics are saying is energetic with fun and playful performances that evokes hits of an era. Piano Men is held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Coincidence or the cause? Finally, after years of pushing and pleading by the families of former students at the old Bayshore High School, Manatee County commissioners are agreeing to look into whether contaminated soil underneath the property is responsible for a suspicious number of cancer deaths. But as Kate Flexter tells us, proving the existence of a cancer cluster is a difficult thing to do.
Thanks, Alan. It may be difficult to prove, but the friends and family of these alumni are convinced there's much more to the story.
When Mallory Mannion's father was diagnosed with colon cancer, she was forced to watch the strong man she once knew slowly lose his health.
It's just definitely terrifying to watch your father, who is the strongest person in your life or the hardest worker, to kind of deteriorate into an 85-pound, person who's very ill.
It was a hard-fought battle he ultimately lost after 2 years. But for Mannion, the battle was just getting started. Out of her father and his 7 siblings, all Bayshore High students in the 1970s, 4 of them have battled cancer, and Mannion began to wonder if the school was in some way to blame.
It's can't be coincidental. There has to be a link.
It's a theory shared by many, and for Cheryl Joza, it's become an obsession. In 1999, she lost her 38-year-old sister to a rare form of leukemia, something she thought was just an anomaly, until she heard of 2 of her sister's classmates from Bayshore High who also died from leukemia.
I just knew that it wasn't right. That's not just a mere chance.
That's when she began to dig deeper and noticed a trend. One by one, she heard stories of people who were battling cancer and autoimmune diseases with one thing in common. They attended Bayshore High in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s.
Every time you asked somebody, you heard of somebody else that was sick.
Since she began keeping track, she's counted 91 deaths, 166 that are currently battling cancer or are cancer survivors, 109 autoimmune diseases, and 81 children born to alumni with birth defects.
It's absolutely devastating to watch alumni to lose their family members.
For more than a decade, the story has made headlines, speculating that the school's well water or soil was contaminated. And there are several theories. Some believe diesel fuel tanks buried on school property are to blame. Others point to a nearby Superfund site called Riverside Products, known by the Environmental Protection Agency for dumping cancer-causing chemicals just 1 mile north of the school. The old Bayshore High has long since been torn down, but the Manatee County School District provided us with several tests spanning nearly 20 years. Adding, quote, all of the documentation the district has indicates that there have not been any adverse findings in any of the testing done at the site. It's an answer Joza and others aren't satisfied with. That's why they came before the county commission, who agreed to look into the issue further, compiling a full report on testing in the area, something she calls a small victory.
The fact that they acknowledge us and that they're going to call for a report, I'm happy with that. That's a start.
But medical director for the Cancer Center of Sarasota Manatee, Dr. Steve Mammis, says they're going about it the wrong way.
It's completely inadequate to say that because we don't find a particular toxin in the water supply or the soil, that there's not a problem.
Instead of testing the soil for toxins, Dr. Mammis says they must first determine whether or not there's what the Centers for Disease Control calls a cancer cluster. It's a task Mammis says would require reaching out to each and every alum who attended Bayshore High during those times to determine their medical history.
So I think it is premature to say that there's a cancer cluster unless we really define that there really is an excess risk of developing certain types of medical problems.
But those are the answers Mannion says she needs, no matter the outcome.
My dad didn't get to see my brother graduate high school or get to watch his grandson grow up, or he's not going to be able to walk me down the aisle on my wedding day. So I think for those reasons, I'll always want his story out and to fight for justice.
We spoke to Manatee County commissioners when they called for the report. They're declining to comment until they see its results.
Kate, thank you. Coming up, the sister of a late Bayshore High student, a geoscientist, and a reporter who has covered this story for years. We are taking it to the trapezoid.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Whether a family member needs a little extra help around the house, assistance recovering from a hospital stay, or someone to check in on them throughout the week, Right at Home's in-home care is the answer. Your loved one deserves the right care, and now we need caregivers to help give the right care for the right reasons, the right way. At Right at Home, we're one of the only private home health agencies in this area with the opportunity to earn paid time off. If you're someone who loves helping people, take a look at our website and click on Jobs to join our team today.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back. First off, there is no definitive evidence linking Bayshore High School to cancer cases. However, several suspicious factors are causing Manatee County leaders to get involved in a new investigation. Last month, Charlie Kennedy, the chairman of the Manatee County Commission, said, quote, "I'd like to say we are getting ahead of this, but we are probably 25 years too late." The old Bayshore High School was torn down in 1999. Those following the situation claim there are 88 alumni who have died from cancer, 156 who have had cancer, 100 with autoimmune diseases, and 64 alumni who have had children born with birth defects. The county commissioner's vice chair says there's a preponderance of this information and it is statistically significant. We can't let this go. And joining us for more is geologist David Woodhouse, who used to work as a consultant for the Environmental Protection Agency, Cheryl Jonza, an alumni of Bayshore High School, who is a major advocate for further investigation, and John Rehol, who is a reporter for the Bradenton Times. And John, you have done incredible stories on this, and you've all been dedicated to this issue. The question that came up in my mind when in Kate's story, she showed some of the testing that was done. Why do you think that was insufficient in terms of evidence in this case?
Well, I could, if you wish. Sure. Well, there's two types of chemicals we are dealing with here. One group is called, or are called, the floaters, and these would be the petroleum hydrocarbons, gas, diesel fuel. They tend to float on top of the water table. The more important ones are what they call the sinkers. These are what they call the dense non-aqueous phase liquids. They are deep in the fractured rock, perhaps even at the bottom of the aquifer. They sink until, quite literally, they go to China. All the monitoring wells that were put in were shallow monitoring wells. They were perhaps 20 feet deep, even less. Right. So any contaminants, and these are the chlorinated solvents, most likely are below that depth, which they will never find unless they put deep wells in.
And it's also very important to point out that what was below the high school were old oil drums, container units, but there, as Kate reported in her story, there were EPA Superfund sites from different industries around the area. Do you suspect that is part of the problem? And has there been any evidence that people living in the general area have also been affected by this?
Absolutely. About a year ago, Dr. Richard Clapp, who's a renowned epidemiologist, most noted recently for his work on the Camp Lejeune case, took a look at our self-reported numbers, and he said that they were statistically significant. And he said he had a list of what type of toxins and contaminants that probably would be the cause of the injuries that we have self-reported. And this recent discovery of the old Riverside Products property just a mile north of the school has a lot of those exact contaminants.
John, this has been kicking around for years. How come there has not been, up until now, a more serious investigation into it?
Real simple. Nobody wants to know. You can look everywhere in the wrong place and you won't find what it is. I myself, over the last 3 years, I haven't found any help. Like they totally run from it. I've sat down with Galvano and Boyd and Stubbe, and they've all promised they're going to get with me, and they keep brushing me off. Nobody really wants to know.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because having way over 1,000 meetings that I've covered in the last 6 years, I see how they run away from everything all the time. And what they do is they want to bring people here. Maybe they're afraid of a cancer cluster here isn't going to be such a lure.
Because if there were one, and that is, from my experience, very, very difficult to prove, but you would imagine that the liability would be tremendous, which begs the question: what is your motivation in terms of pursuing this?
The motivation is first of all, we have a right to know what was there, what was in the water. We still can't get them to tell us where the source of drinking water was. The 2007 soil testing and environmental testing that they keep referring to, at the bottom of page 2 and into page 3 was where they were asking to provide that source, and they never did.
All right, we are just getting started. We'll pick up the discussion right after a check on our weather, so stay with us.
The Sarasota Film Festival is March 31st through April 9th, featuring independent films from around the world, panels, parties, and conversations with stars, all happening in downtown Sarasota.
You don't want to miss it, so get your festival guide and choose the films and events you want to attend.
Buy your tickets online, by phone, or at the Hollywood 20 box office. They go fast, so get them now.
So join us to see and be seen.
For years, I told everyone my Craftmatic adjustable bed was the greatest until I got the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has an adjustable pillow feature that's awesome. You're gonna want one too when you see how little they cost.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest, bedside power plugs, underbed night lights, and more. Available in all mattress types with optional heat and soothing massage for as much as half the price of Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Enjoy temporary relief of low back pain, nighttime heartburn, mild arthritis. Adjust the rising pillow feature to help align your head, neck, and shoulders. See for yourself with our 30-day in-home trial. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You gotta see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-237-0214. That's 1-800-237-0214. Call 1-800-237-0214. Call now.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
Our discussion of Bayshore High and possible contamination issues continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our weather from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. A very warm day today. Record-breaking heat, 94 degrees in Fort Myers, 91 in Tampa, 88 here at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport. Tied a record high temperature. Temperatures are still starting to cool down here near the coast, but still rather warm inland. Arcadia at 87 degrees right now. Sebring 85. The Gulf of Mexico water temperature 78. That too is starting to warm up, and the Van Wezel webcam showing generally clear skies all day long today with that south wind. It made boating conditions a little rough going out there. Small craft should exercise caution as winds are still brisk. That wind kind of feeding into this storm system, which is causing all sorts of headaches tonight over the panhandle of Florida and North Florida, where there are still some watches out. You can see those showers and thunderstorms continuing throughout the panhandle from Panama City over to Tallahassee, and then along the eastern seaboard, some rough weather blowing up from Charleston. We had a few inland storms as a result of the heat of the day today. In the low to mid 90s here, just enough heat to cause some lift and cool and condensation starting to occur, and then not a lot of heavy weather, but still some moderate showers, bringing some cooling showers into interior portions of the area. Now currently we have sunshine, 80 degrees. The dew point is at 68. The pressure 2993. That is falling ever so slightly, but we are looking at high pressure to stay and keep with us and keep that front to the north, and all that rain that we've seen over Tallahassee and also North Florida will stay to our north. The high, there it is, tied it, record high today, 1957. Last time it got up to 88 degrees. No rainfall. We could use somewhere over 6 inches below average. We're going to get some rain. Looks like Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and then we're going to get some cooler temperatures too. So don't put away the jackets or sweaters quite yet, but you may need them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings. Now, temperatures tomorrow will be near record-breaking again, upper 80s to near 90 degrees anticipated, especially inland areas, as winds will stay out of the south, and that will have a tendency to warm things up. The RPM forecast model showing that rain kind of fading away to our north. It's not going to make it through tomorrow, but the next front will, it looks like. For boaters, exercise caution out there. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet with a moderate chop. And the low tide upcoming 301. A high tide 702, just a 2-tide day tomorrow. And the forecast mostly fair, warm and breezy, a low of 70 tomorrow. Look for another warm day. Highs in the mid 80s near the coast, upper 80s to low 90s inland. The extended forecast does call for that rain chance at 50% Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and then the windy, dry weather and cooler weather moves in on Friday. Alan will be back with the panel right after this. Stick around.
Watch ABC7's Osprey Cam on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Opera TV. And get an exclusive bird's eye view of Sarah and Soda, our own resident Osprey couple. With ABC7's state-of-the-art high-definition Osprey Cam with night vision, you'll get an up-close and personal look at all the Osprey action live 24/7. And you might just be the first to spot an egg. Search ABC7 on your streaming device. Download the free ABC7 channel app and click on Osprey Cam.
Sarasota Magazine and PNC Wealth Management present the Best of Sarasota Soiree at Selby Gardens on April 24th.
It's an evening to sip, savor, and celebrate Sarasota Manatee's Best of Winners.
This year will be full of Warhol-inspired surprises, entertainment, and a tribute to those representing the best in our community.
Come join ABC7 for all the fun.
Get your tickets today at sarasotamagazine.com.
So many times we underestimate the human spirit's drive to recover. We often see people surpass what any of us might have expected initially. The Rehabilitation Pavilion at Sarasota Memorial is the top of the line. It allows us to really bring the patient's recovery to the next level.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the joint effort by the Manatee County government and the school district to investigate alleged links between Bayshore High School and what some suspect is a cancer cluster. Our guests tonight are David Woodhouse, a geologist and a former EPA consultant, Cheryl Jonza, an alumna of Bayshore High, and John Rehal, who is a reporter for the Bradenton Herald Times, who has done incredible work. And Cheryl, let me start again with you, because your motivation is obvious. I mean, this is very personal, but based upon years of almost ambivalence, what drives you to keep pushing to find answers?
I would say not only for the personal answers for my own family, but for each family that I meet and I hear their story. And it's heartbreaking.
Is it difficult, David, because when you investigate things like this, you are dealing with people's lives and their families and their loved ones, but you also have to deal with science and facts. I'm sure in your work with the EPA and other organizations, you have found cases where there is a cancer cluster and there isn't.
Well, I have to be honest, most of the cancer cluster cases I worked on turned out to be cancer cluster cases. It just amazes me what's under the ground and how much of that we're not aware of.
Because many times you can't see it.
You cannot see it.
You can't taste it. You can't smell it.
And again, it's the nature of the chemical. If there's a oil or gas leak, everybody knows it because it's right there.
Let me ask you all this in terms of your suspicions. Again, we've talked about what was buried below the high school property, but there's been so much made out of what the area around there, the Lockheed Martin buying American Beryllium, the other companies around there. Do you have any evidence that the real contamination that may have caused these cancers are from these other companies and not necessarily what was below?
Well, I don't think at this point in time Lockheed is liable for any of this. The contamination is originating, much of it, north of the old high school.
And what's up there?
Riverside Products, a Superfund site which used chlorinated solvents. The investigators found plumes of chlorinated solvents, including vinyl chloride. And just by chance, vinyl chloride happens to cause very, very rare cancers, which are found, guess where?
Then Cheryl and John, has anybody approached the federal government, which I would imagine has more resources to investigate things like this? Have you contacted the the EPA? What have people been told?
I contacted the CDC about a year ago and spoke with the Assistant Surgeon General, and he directed me back to the state. And then the state directs you back to the county, and we get nowhere.
Well, we have a governor that pretty much kicked the EPA out of here on the Kathleen thing, with as far as the radon and gas, and refused to let them land at one point. They put a bill together to try and stop it. As far as when they threaten, the first thing that pops up, even in the memos on the Riverside, when they were going through, every first memo that came through was saying, make sure you know that we're not responsible. It's always been who's responsible. It's never been, but they shouldn't be playing that card because of the $300,000 cap. No lawyer's going to come in with anything like that on both the school and the county. They're using that card with falsely using that card. They're staying away from having to. They don't want to find out.
Let's explain this. And people at home may be wondering this. Is there a limitation in terms of whatever kind of potential legal action that families could make that is precluding?
Okay, well, it's my understanding that this type of a lawsuit, if there was a lawsuit, it would be called a toxic tort lawsuit. And the school district and the county are protected under sovereign immunity to my understanding. So therefore, like John was saying, that that just limits the amount of money. So the cost of getting in to prove this and to get into court.
But not if the contamination, or at least a lot of the contamination didn't come from what was underneath the school, but came from those Superfund sites that you were talking about.
Well, I don't think it would make a difference in terms of, as I understand it, the county has a financial limitation on how much they could pay out. These cases I've worked on, they cost literally maybe $1 million to hire the experts just to prove what is being contended. So I hate to say it, a deep pocket is always looked for.
Right.
When you have these cases. But north of the site, again, there are industrial businesses right now that I'm positive at this point in time are the cause of many of these cases.
And I want to get to that in one second, but when you deal with lawyers, you're dealing with cost-benefit ratios,
Correct.
and if they can't make money, they're not
Correct.
going to take the case and invest the money to investigate it, because it gets down to that question that the doctor said in Kate's story. What needs to be done is to make sure you contact all the alumni from the school.
Absolutely.
And the people who live in the neighborhoods, but I would imagine you don't have the resources to do all that.
Well, I've tried for a year and a half. I've been trying to find out who was on what well water, because there's public wells. It almost for sure was contamination from a public well. The kids that got most sick were the football players, the gymnasts, and the cheerleaders. They all played outside in the sprinklers, and they were around it. We know with the groundwater modeling that you can't stop it from going certain places. So there's pretty much no doubt. But what the county has done is put a lock on the finding out. Because all we need to do is to put out flyers, put them in the utility bills, also put it in the paper and add in the paper. They got to want to know. If they want to know, they'll come in numbers far exceed cancer cluster.
And let's get, I mean, this is not a court of law or anything like that, but when you're talking about the chemicals, specifically the chemicals that that are being reported here and the links to cancer, David, what do you see?
I see a direct link. Again, I was amazed by the comparison of what we have here with what I've seen in the past. Now, arsenic seems to be one of the main culprits here. On the original property, in the environments of the property, they used to have pits full of arsenic where they used to run the cattle through.
That was before the school was built.
Yeah, but the arsenic is still there. It doesn't go away.
So can't that be tested today?
Yes, you could, yeah.
If you test in the right place.
You have to go in the right place.
The testing, if you look through all the testing data, it was very limited to very shallow testing. They weren't really looking for it.
So Cheryl, the obvious question is, do you have any confidence in the investigation that is being undertaken today that there will be a real honest effort to find the answers that you're seeking?
I would like to hope so. I still hold out hope.
And what do you think is at stake here?
I believe that there's people out there that may be sick that don't know, and they might be ignoring their symptoms, and early detection is key to probably saving somebody's life.
And I would imagine that there are a lot of families who have lost a lot of loved ones who are just looking for answers as to, is this why?
Anybody can put themselves in that seat, and they don't have to think about it for a second to know that that's all they're going to think about.
You know, one last question here. And I know that you talked about your suspicions about the governor and the state's position, but has anybody directly appealed to the governor's office, to the governor himself?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, I tried to get Galvano, and I tried to get Boyd, and all of them. I tried to get them to take those steps, and they refused to do it. I contacted the health department in Tallahassee. You know, I mean, I worked diligently on this to try and find somebody to take. But as long as they don't want to, if they don't put out a flyer, if we don't get a formula for how we're trying to find out how many people have it, it'll float around like this because they don't want to go there. They don't want to open that door.
One final comment, again, just based on my background, I'm amazed that no entity such as the Board of Health tested the well water over all these years to see what was in the water. The Clean Water Act was in place at the time. I used to be a water commissioner in Massachusetts. We tested our wells. I cannot understand why there are no records of testing these wells if thousands of students were consuming water that might have been contaminated.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests. Stay with us.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. How to fight type 1 diabetes, plus Southeastern guide dogs on college campuses, and my delicious blog in the kitchen. Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
Are you considering joint replacement or revision surgery? Consider this. Dr. Edward Stolarski has performed thousands of successful joint replacement procedures and trained surgeons from all over the world. Using advanced technologies, Dr. Stolarski is able to perform some of the most complex surgeries.
I wish I knew about Dr. Stolarski much sooner. After the surgery, I don't have any pain. It's like I've got a 16-year-old hip.
My name's Ed Stolarski. What I really do is I give people back their life.
Schedule a consultation today.
There's a whole new way to bank at Achieva Credit Union with Achieva Checking Plus. Get new unique features like full ID theft protection and online shopping rewards. Plus, it's an interest-bearing account, so you have a little extra for what really matters. Achieva Checking Plus isn't just an account for your money, it's for your life, including cell phone insurance. And that's good to know. Discover the plus at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
A unique celebration of a distinctive cultural gem in Sarasota. La Musica, the annual international festival of chamber music, with renowned musicians from 4 continents. April 3rd through April 12th at the Sarasota Opera House and at Sainer Pavilion. Buy your tickets now.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
Welcome back. Well, a new round of testing shed light on what's causing so many Bayshore High alumni to become sick or die from cancer and autoimmune diseases. Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And John, as you have investigated and reported this, what kind of feedback or pushback have you gotten?
All the time. I don't get records. I request records. They give me stuff that they've already sent me. They give me stuff that's totally irrelevant. What needs to happen is if they want to do it, all they need to focus on the numbers. We can't keep assuming that there's poison here, poison there, and keep looking everywhere. The numbers are there. They're going to far exceed if they would just send the flyers out and the utility bills with the timelines and the alumni.
David, the obvious question after all these years, the school's been torn down some 20 years ago. Is the evidence still underground?
Yeah, I think in the case of the arsenic, which I think is one of the major problems here, causing the brain cancers, there's an active release going on right now, which is about 3 miles north of the old school, and it's flowing through the fractured bedrock, taking its time, and it still can be tested. In case of the chlorinated solvents, there might be a pool of contamination still there.
Sure. How frustrated are you? You've put this 10 years of your life into finding out answers in terms
13.
of 13. Okay, I stand corrected. That you've made it this far, and now there is this investigation, but it should have happened sooner and more seriously.
I'll take it. And it's just my hopes that because we're dealing with health issues, with water, and the school district, it's the school district's property, but it's the county's responsibility to make sure our water's safe. And their department also takes care of cancer clusters.
Right. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to our guests for being here tonight.
Thank
David
you.
Woodhouse is a geologist and former EPA consultant. Cheryl Jonza is a Bayshore High alumna who is advocating for further investigations. And John Rehill is a reporter for the Bradenton Times. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, plus authority over the courts. Governor Scott is taking dozens of cases away from a state attorney because she won't seek the death penalty. We'll have details in our primetime headlines.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but first let's get a final check on our weather from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are looking at generally fair skies up and down the coast now. The Van Wezel webcam is showing basically nice weather up and down the coast. We are anticipating, looks like we will see a beautiful sunset tonight. If you have a photo, send it to pix at mysuncoast.com. Right now, temperatures are into the upper 70s to low 80s near the coast. A little bit warmer inland, still Arcadia at 87 degrees, Punta Gorda at 85. And you can see from the radar picture, lots of storminess to the north of us. That's where all the rough weather has been. And will stay there, too. It's not going to move down here anytime soon. It will stay to our north, and we are seeing some pretty heavy storms now near Tallahassee, stretching over to I-75 into South Georgia now. And then the bigger storms off the coast of the Carolinas as that whole system is working its way to the east. We even had a few inland storms today due to the record heat. That's right, temperatures soared into the low to mid 90s in cases in places like Arcadia as well as Fort Myers. Fort Myers got up to 94 today, and that was a record high. You can see one or two lone showers now pushing off toward the east at this point. Again, sunset beautiful, 80 degrees, currently warm, and the dew point up there. Winds are out of the south, rather brisk at 20 miles an hour. The pressure 29.93 inches, and that is holding steady now. The high today was tying a record. 88 degrees, record tying high of 88 degrees. The old one set back in 1957, and no rainfall to report. We could use a little bit. We are well below average for the year, over 6 inches below our normal. Now, the high tomorrow will still warm into the upper 80s, despite the fact that we will see slightly cooler temperatures near the beaches. Not as windy tomorrow. Those winds will be out of the south for the most part, a little southwesterly as that sea breeze tries to kick in. But inland areas, Wauchula, Arcadia will all see highs at around 90 to 92 degrees tomorrow due to that wind out of the south. Now, this front comes down, kind of fades away just to the north of us over Gainesville. It does not have an impact on our weather at all. The cooler weather stays to the north of us. And then we will see another system developing, though, on into late Wednesday. It will bring us a chance for a few showers come late Wednesday and into Thursday morning. We could even see some thunderstorms with this next system as a result of a stronger cold front, which will blow through and chill us out a little bit. We'll get back to more typical readings that you'd see in late January and early February with highs in the low 70s both on Friday and on Saturday. Now, as far as the national picture goes, a lot of rainfall into the Ohio Valley. For boaters tomorrow, a bit breezy out there, a moderate chop on the bays and inland water, seas running 2 to 4 feet, and winds will be out of the south at around 15 knots. Well, here's your forecast. Warm day Tuesday, Wednesday. The showers come in Thursday morning, and then clearing, and that high fire danger will be in place on Friday. And it looks like a pretty good weekend ahead. Ellen will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
In the real estate business, trust is important. It's not just about money, it's a place where we live and create memories. Buying a home is such a big investment, you want to find the right one. You don't want to be sold a home, you want someone you can trust to help you find the right home. I am proud to work at an agency where these values matter. I would love to be your realtor. I am Chandra Boone, and I'm a proud realtor at SWC Properties.
Florida Studio Theater presents Piano Men, held over by popular demand through April 2nd. Attributing the virtuosity and elegance of the Piano Man, Piano Men features the works of 20th century's best pianists and songwriters, featuring songs from music icons such as Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, and Barry Manilow. Don't miss what critics are saying is energetic, with fun and playful performances that evokes hits of an era. Piano Men is held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting Loose Salon.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-622-1941. 800-622-1941.
Now for your primetime headlines, a high-stakes game of politics in Washington with a showdown in the Senate over President Trump's Supreme Court nominee. It's a face-off that could change Senate rules. ABC's Maggie Rulli is in Washington with more.
And people that don't want to.
The Senate now on the brink of going nuclear.
I cannot support this nomination.
He will be exactly the kind of justice that America needs. I had concerns about his views.
Senate Democrats inch past the magic number needed to filibuster and block the president's nomination of Judge Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court.
I am not ready to end debate on this issue, so I will be voting against cloture unless we are able, as a body, to finally sit down and find a way to avoid the nuclear option.
Leading progressive groups celebrate what they feel is a victory after Senate Republicans refused to even hold a hearing on former President Obama's pick for the Supreme Court, Merrick Garland. Now Senate Republicans are left with the last-ditch option, going nuclear, avoiding the Democrats' filibuster by changing Senate rules, making it so that only a majority is needed to end debate and bring the nomination to a vote.
The majority leader has promised to use whatever tactic is necessary to get his way, to make sure that Donald Trump's nominee is confirmed, even if that means forever damaging the United States Senate.
Even many Republicans are hesitant, saying they will fight to get Gorsuch on the bench, but are concerned about triggering the nuclear option.
I think the damage done to the Senate is going to be real.
Gorsuch has cleared the committee vote, but we expect the real drama to unfold over the next couple of days as the Democrats get their chance to filibuster and the Republicans could blow it all up. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Washington.
Now to Russia, where at least 11 people are dead and more than 45 wounded after an explosion ripped through a subway train. State media reports law enforcement is searching for 2 suspects. Russia's National Anti-Terrorism Committee says an unidentified explosive device went off on a train midway between 2 stations in St. Petersburg. Another explosive device was found at a different station but was defused. Russian President Vladimir Putin was in the city at the time of the blast. Here in Florida, the House and Senate are getting ready to start budget negotiations. There's a lot to discuss because the House and Senate are $1 billion apart. The Senate wants to spend more than $83 billion, which includes pay raises for state employees. The House is looking to slash state funding for higher education, health care, and public-private partnerships. Both chambers have until the session ends May 5th to reach a deal. Otherwise, a special session will be held. State legislators could reach an agreement on one issue: standardized testing. A bill to overhaul the Florida Standardized Assessment, or FSA, is heading to the Senate floor. It would eliminate 4 end-of-year exams and allow districts to use pencil and paper tests instead of requiring students to do them online. It would also push back when the tests are given to the last 3 weeks of the school year. Right now, the FSA is given from late February to early May. An update on the accused cop killer Marquis Lloyd. During a court appearance today, Lloyd agreed to accept a court-appointed attorney after objecting last week. Lloyd is accused of killing his pregnant ex-girlfriend and an Orlando police lieutenant. Governor Rick Scott removed Orlando state attorney from Lloyd's case after she wouldn't seek the death penalty. Now, Scott is taking 21 more cases away from Aramis Ayala. All the cases include first-degree murder charges. Scott reassigned the cases to Lakeland State Attorney Brad King. Ayala is challenging the governor's actions, appealing to the Florida Supreme Court. A Brandon woman accused of sending death threats to a man whose son was killed in the Sandy Hook massacre is under arrest again. Lucy Richards was arrested over the weekend in Hillsborough County after skipping her court date. Richards was scheduled to appear for a change of plea hearing last Wednesday. She failed to appear, and the warrant was issued for her arrest. Richards was expected to enter a guilty plea. Prosecutors say Richards told them she believed the 2012 shooting at a Connecticut elementary school was a hoax. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.